All right, coming into game 3 of what this scrim block should be, there's a little bit of a technical error. So it's actually a possibility that Rocky and TopGun actually are not in the same lobby as the other members of the scrim block. I am doing well, Ruff. Thank you so much for asking for how the caster is doing today. Appreciate that consideration. Nevertheless, if they are in the right lobby or not, this is going to be Rocky here on the screen, as well as this being TopGun. Very seasoned players. They recently formed duos with each other, trying to develop that team synergy and chemistry, develop those strategies with each other. Going to safely land off in Snobby Shores. Basically what they're doing is this isn't a tournament format, but there's a scrim block with a lot of really good teams that are also trying to get into pro scene, just like Rocky and TopGun are. So they're going to go ahead and handle it as if it is a tournament. They really do need to get these wins. They do need to win these gunfights and these team fights to really have a good showing for themselves moving into these games here, trying to get into that pro scene, try to break in, see how they stack up against others, etc. So if they are in the correct lobby or not, it's kind of irrelevant, considering the fact that they do still want to develop that synergy, do want to develop that chemistry and learn each other's strategic minds to know instantly how each other think. The landing off towards the Snobby Shores here, which is actually something that's a common strategy, is land off in a location that's pretty far off from the center. They want to be in as little fights as possible until they are finally fully looted up. And then only after they're fully looted up is when they'll really take on fights willingly. The wins are weighted very heavily in these scrim blocks over kills. So you'll see a lot more strategic play, a lot more map movement play, a lot more roaming. TopGun leaving the bolt action sniper behind, probably leaving it for Rocky. A lot of this team dynamic, if you don't know these two players, Rocky is a long-time sniper main, you can call him. He loves long-range play, loves sniping. He loves that kind of mindset. He loves trying to bait out peaks, trying to work lanes. While TopGun traditionally is a lot more of an aggressive player, he really enjoys a shotgun game. He really enjoys aggression and punishing and pushing the tempo, pushing the pace. So a lot of what you'll see here is TopGun will typically lead the charge. He'll go in and really make plays happen, really apply pressure on enemy teams, while Rocky will be kind of in an overwatch position. He'll be providing covering fire, laying in his snipes. He's very capable of laying a lot of snipes in. He's actually very skilled in that, much like TopGun's skilled in the shotgun game. Both players are well-rounded enough to handle each other in any situation they find themselves in. But it's just playing to each other's strengths is a very good idea. So it's kind of like the chemistry here is TopGun will lead the charge, and Rocky will do the overwatch position and lay in the covering fire, lay in the snipes while the other team's distracted by TopGun. And then as TopGun has weakened the lines a little bit and or Rocky has laid some really good shots in, then he'll also push up and cover the distance and suppress and kind of suffocate the enemy team along with TopGun. It's kind of the general strategy you'll see with these two players. Yeah, taking some time, it really seems like they weren't in the lobby for the scrim block. But like I said before, even if they're not in the same lobby, in the correct lobby, they still want to play up, try to get the W, try to get the win. They might be actually even more aggressive this game than they typically would because it's not in the scrim block here. So it might actually be a more aggressive, more engagement heavy game here. So it might be a little more exciting for you viewers. Yeah, they're just going to finish off looting Snobby Shores. They want to go ahead and get a good loadout for their inventory here. They want to try to find more shielding. They actually haven't really found many shields so far. Rocky just now getting to 100 over 100. And TopGun finally finding some minis for himself. The inventory loadout seems pretty good with the double shotgun loadout that you see in TopGun. Again, he's an aggressive player, so you'll commonly find him run this kind of loadout. Any kind of aggressive player, even if you're not a very aggressive player, it's still kind of the meta is to have a pump or heavy shotgun and then combine that with any of the other three types of shotguns. So one of your shotguns will be a pump or heavy, and the other shotgun will be a pump, heavy, or tac shotgun. Attack shotgun's generally overall the least useful shotgun, though, is one that you can spam the fastest fire rate. So a lot of people like to pair it up with their slow fire rate, high damage output pump shotgun. Just combo it up. After you shoot your pump shotgun, you don't have to wait for it to cock. You can just switch weapons instantly and start spraying that attack shotgun. You have the sieging option with the grenade launcher, which is very good, especially with him being the aggressive player. And then has that AR, which is kind of the staple. A lot of people prefer the full auto AR over the burst rifle in the current meta, just because you have that first shot accuracy. So at long range, you can get a lot of really accurate shots off. And it's also useful in close range because you can spray it as well. So it's just overall a more versatile option. The burst rifle doesn't siege as well. It doesn't destroy structures as fast. It also doesn't utilize the first shot accuracy as well as a full auto AR. And then at close range, the full auto AR can just spray it. So overall, the full auto AR is more versatile, while the burst is still good at doing good, consistent damage to exposed targets at long range and medium long range. Just, it's really good to have versatility in your loadout. You really want to have an answer for all situations at all times. What we'll see here with TopGun Rocky, as we're kind of sitting out with a pretty solid inventory loadout. Rocky Rex sitting with a good amount of mats. They're not as much as they want to. You'll see a lot of people continuously farm materials until they have at least 500 wood. A lot of people go until they have around about 1,000 total materials or more, because materials are just as much your life force in Fortnite as shielding and HP are. Rocky, like I said before, preferring the sniper is probably why TopGun left it earlier, was for Rocky to pick it up. So both players right now are kind of just playing towards the suits. Pretty much anybody will run a double shotgun in their loadout, no matter how their playstyle is, like I said before. And then Rocky has the AR staple, just like everybody else has as well. But then the variances you'll kind of see is Rocky has the sniper rifle, while TopGun has the sieging option. It's good to have that kind of balance with your team. Using these bounce pads, you don't take any fall damage with these bounce pads. They also, as you can see, they launch you very far, very fast. So off the high ground as well, you have more hang time, and the longer you're in air off the bounce pad, the longer you'll be spinning, being in very fast motion. This first storm only takes for 1 damage per second, and they're near the edge here. So he went ahead and took that time to try to loot for chests. Rocky kind of did the same. I'm actually on Rocky's perspective, but that's what TopGun did on the way. See if the chest provided maybe a slurp or a med kit to try to get the HP up a little bit. I'm not sure why TopGun's running into the storm right now. Perhaps he and Rocky might have found an enemy team. Oh, yes. They found loot back in the storm from Rocky. He's going to go ahead and run all the way back. He can use those bandages to get himself back up to 75. So it's not terrible that happened. He actually went ahead and picked those up to pair along with the minis, and has only 1 shotgun now because he's running 2 recovery options in his inventory. Something you'll see, like I was saying, pretty much everybody runs double shotgun. A lot of times what you'll see is if a player in the team is the more long-range focused player, the player that typically will run the sniper rifle with doing a lot more cover fire, etc. While he's dropping down and going back to where he was with only 1 recovery option in his inventory, a lot of times you'll see sometimes those players running 2 recovery options, healing and shielding options, with only 1 shotgun being attack shotgun or later upgraded to a heavy shotgun. So the more fast fire rate shotguns there. To not just run only the pump, because the pump shotgun is really the one shotgun that, while you'll commonly find it in a double shotgun loadout, because you can basically remove the slow fire rate hindrance of the pump shotgun. Because of that slow fire rate hindrance, if you only have 1 shotgun, the pump is the highest risk shotgun of the 3 types. So Rocky actually going ahead and decided to heal himself back up to 75, gave off bandages to TopGun as well, and they left the bandages behind. Because if they find themselves in fights, typically from now on, they'll be able to find themselves well within zones before the storm hits them. And if they're in a fight, then they're going to need to heal up their shielding faster than they'll need to heal up their HP. TopGun actually finding a fight with another team, just finished off a fight of their own. There's a bunch of loot on the floor. Trying to punish this player before he's able to heal back up. Trying to break into the shell of this turtle. Finds his way down and does finish off the fight. Great job there by TopGun. Like I was saying before, TopGun's usually leading the charge, so he kind of way out in the head, way out in the lead, trying to find fights. What's good about being that kind of player, while being a little bit more passive and slow pace around the map, is good as well, because obviously you're not going to find as many fights, so it's less risk, obviously, because there's less fights, so less risk, less chances for you to die. But still, also, if you're a very aggressive player who's roaming around the map a lot, like TopGun does, then oftentimes you'll find yourself in a situation where you can ref a fight, much like TopGun just did. Roughing a fight just basically means that a fight was either currently going on or just finished, so you're going to go ahead and go in there and stop the other players from being able to heal up and really get some easy kills. Using that jump pad so they're able to get out of the zone a lot faster, because they actually ended up taking some time in that fight, but TopGun is able to get out of there without taking really any damage from the zone, so he'll be good at 75 HP. And then looking at Rocky, even though he's at lower HP, he did find a med kit from those downed players there. And like I said before, because he went to a double recovery listing in his inventory here, he went and dropped the pump shotgun. He's running only the tac shotgun. It looks like TopGun actually found players coming out of the zone. TopGun really utilizing good strategic map play things here. One went and reffed the fight just now, and then coming out of the zone, he's immediately switching to gatekeeping mode, to where he's basically sat right inside the next safe zone and is watching and trying to get easy shots off on people who are having to run into the safe zone from the zone. So they're more exposed, while TopGun would be more protected there. But that wasn't the best location to do so. Also, the zones are fairly wide right now, so it's less likely gatekeeping is going to be a very useful thing to do. But if you don't have anything else to do while you're waiting for a teammate to come up and heal up, then you might as well set up the gatekeep. Roaming into retail row right now. Now they're sitting pretty good for mats. TopGun getting shot at from the other side. It's actually the team that he was looking at earlier. So they're kind of just giving some shots as payback. Trying to do this quick peek shot strategy. As you can see, the target reticle comes closer together to the center as you stand still while crouching. So any kind of movement, even standing up, removes that perfect accuracy, that first shot accuracy, but still it's a progressive removal of that first shot accuracy. So you still have a lot better accuracy than normal. So it's better bloom, or it's better accuracy than if you just stood there and shot. It's also far less time that you leave yourself exposed, which is obviously useful. The less time you're exposed, the less likely you're going to be shot. This other player seems to be a solo player. They're just kind of turtling up. No real signs of a second player quite yet. Rocky just going right in there to aping the kid, the other player. Because this isn't really a scrim block, like I said before, they're probably going to be a little bit more aggressive than they normally will be. So Rocky just throwing himself at the other player there, just really breaking that shell and forcing himself inside that box area. Finish off that kill with a shotgun. Seeing pretty good loadout with a Scar here with TopGun. Actually looking in at Rocky now that TopGun has a recovery option as well. Good for him. Rocky is sitting at a heavy shotgun. I was calling out earlier, that's probably the best shotgun in the meta right now. He's double shotgunning as well, though with a heavy shotgun with attack, it's a little bit less necessary to double shotgun, but still useful. If you swap weapons rapidly and do that timing well enough, you are able to shoot your shotguns faster than if you had only the one shotgun. But with both of them being fairly fast fire rates and him being typically the more reserved player looking for snipes, he likely won't need to use both of these weapons in his inventory. Just kind of scoping out the horizon, overlooking retail row. Ooh, got a nice body shot by Rocky there. Great job. Meanwhile, we are looking at TopGun and just kind of hanging out, waiting. He doesn't have a long-range option for the situation. He's the one that's carrying the siege option, just kind of observing. So while Rocky's constantly looking for these shots, TopGun is just kind of observing the area, looking for any other angles Rocky might be interested in, just making sure nobody's going to be peeking up on them. Just like right there, as I call it out, if somebody does do so, they use rockets and explosives, trying to build their way out. They're very weak now. TopGun turtling up, Rocky doing the same, trying to get their shields off to try to recover and get themselves back in this fight. Turtle effectively trying to get high ground. Rocky in the fight faster. The other players maintain a high ground. They're a little punished there for being a little passive. As I was calling it, TopGun needed to observe a little bit more and was doing so. He didn't quite turn around a lot, so he didn't see the team coming up from the flank. TopGun immediately gaining the high ground for himself. Really doesn't want to have this be the end here. It was kind of his job to be looking around, and he doesn't want to be the reason that they lose. He doesn't want this team to be able to get the kill. Jockeying for that high ground here. Meanwhile, Rocky was a little turtled up, being a little bit more defensive. They're essentially in 1v1s right now, despite being two teams of two. Rocky's in a 1v1 with somebody trying to break his turtle shell, so he's forced into defensive state. TopGun might fall to his death, couldn't get the building off in time. That's very unfortunate. It might have been a little bit of a bug or a latency or something of that sort. Maybe it was just slow on the click, but he just couldn't get that building off. TopGun's or Rocky's perspective, he's trying to create some distance. He found himself outside of his shell. Now he's fighting for the high ground. As much as you like to protect TopGun, that's not really a reality here. The other player falling almost to the death. There's good awareness to punish them. Forced damage. The other player going in to try to thirst TopGun and is punished for it. And meanwhile, Rocky was able at some point finish off the other teammate. Or perhaps they were taken off by another team here. Top 5 situation. Rocky clutching out that victory there. Great job. I didn't quite catch what happened to the player, but they might have gotten picked off from the distance from another team. That often happens, especially if you're on the high ground like that in build fights. While you're having to build for high ground with other players right next to you, if you stand still a little bit too long, you're staying a little bit too exposed, and other players observing from distances will get some AR shots off, maybe a snipe, and can pick you off. So that might have been what happened to the player, and perhaps Rocky took them down without me seeing. Maybe they fell off to their own demise. TopGun sitting on a chug jug here. Sitting pretty good. Let's go ahead and hold it for now, it seems. It's a top 5 situation. So 3 enemies to Rocky and TopGun. Finding a gold scarf for Rocky. Nice. Good upgrade. Sharing some materials with each other. So they're both going to be pretty bulked up as far as the inventory there goes. Again, like this isn't a tournament, probably isn't even in the same scrim block as a lot of the other players. It is possible that other players looking to get in the scrim block were also late on the queue and end up in this lobby. So there's no real reason to say this lobby is going to be a bad one. Nevertheless, even if this is a completely randomized queue, they still definitely want to get a win. They still want to be able to secure games off and keep developing that duo synergy here. They're basically just looking for high ground, looking for a good position over the enemies here. TopGun went ahead and used up his chug jug and now has, I keep wanting to call it tear gas. It's actually the newest item added to the game. It's a stink bomb is what it actually is. I had to take a second to think about what it's called. Stink bomb is pretty good for zoning tools, like you see right there. It goes through structures. It does 5 damage per half second for 9 seconds total, so it does 90 total damage. In an AoE area, so it can damage multiple people. Rocky actually got brought down while TopGun was trying to get an angle on this other team. TopGun trying to get his way into Rocky to try to support him. Didn't want to go in the zone though, because that would take for a lot of damage at this point. I believe with the zone size, it'll be 7 damage. Trying to just commit, but isn't allowed to by the enemy team. Trying to just spray in cover fire. He really wants to find a way of reviving Rocky, but Rocky has a good amount of time left. You only take down 2 HP for a second, and he's got 50 HP left. And that tick stalls when somebody is trying to revive you, so he's prolonged life a little bit even longer. Really tough spot here. TopGun's hand might be forced in a moment where he might have to just play out this game as a solo and leave Rocky behind, depending on if he can create some distancing against the other team here. It's a top 4 situation. It includes Rocky despite him being in a down state. So there's 2 other players in the lobby. It's definitely one player trying to be aggressive and push up still. And it looks like it is a team of 2. So TopGun just jumping over the aggressive player he was standing next to, trying to really finish off the other player in the distance who he knows is weak. Wasn't able to build that building. Is able to get that knock. A 1v1 situation. TopGun right here. Rocky is finished. He's going to finish with the other player. So it's a true 1v1. TopGun really wants to secure this victory. You can see in his eyes and this webcam, this face cam here. He really wants to win here. He was in a 1v1 the last game in the scrim block and was just short of clutching it out. He doesn't want the same situation to happen again. He really wants to finish this up, get the victory, bring back that honor for his duo team here, get kind of retribution for himself. High ground, maintaining it over the other player, so he's able to observe the area, be able to keep track of the other player slightly better than the other player can keep track of him. Also has better cover for himself during this time. The only real risk is that he could fall to his death, but he's properly building things to ensure he won't do so. The other player is fighting for high ground right now. This might be an opportunity to capitalize on. Just trying to figure out exactly where the other player is, the enemy player. He's being very patient. He's going to use this fireplace. Great job. He wasn't able to pick up the minis from Rocky's belongings there because he had to move when Rocky was taken out by the storm, it seemed. But the fireplace will be able to get him to 100 HP, so that's not too bad of a situation. And with the high ground advantage, he probably will be able to clutch this out. The next storm is not going to be around any of those naturally formed buildings. So TopGun's going to have to maneuver eventually to the open field area there. And typically, whoever gets to the next safe zone first will have an advantage. So that's going to be definitely on TopGun's mind here. The other players directly below him. Looks like the other players is pickaxing out, trying to create a distance. TopGun just poking around the corner, just only long enough to get a shot off. And then immediately after getting that shot off, we'll just go back behind cover. TopGun might actually, at the last second, because the zone's coming in right now, he might use a bounce pad, just launch himself to the next safe zone and just have the cover, have that positional advantage. He's going to use the AR shots while the other player is exposed. The other player is very weak. He almost has the win here. Drops down on him, doesn't know exactly where he is. Creates cover for himself. While the other player is weaker, TopGun does get the victory. Doing some extra body movements here to really feel good about it. Gets the retribution. Does clutch out the game that is immediately after the game where he was in 1v1. Just slightly wasn't able to make it happen in a disadvantage situation. This game, similar. Disadvantage, was able to clutch it up. Like I was trying to say right there, even though TopGun got a lot of good shots off, knocked off the shield and got some white damage, so he knows the other player is very weak. At the same time, because of how shotguns work, TopGun still, without having shielding himself, was in one-shot range for most shotguns. So while he knew he had more effective HP and was healthier than the other player, both were effectively able to one-shot each other. So he still had to play very cautiously. He was able to regain that high ground right there, though, and be able to secure the victory with a well-placed shotgun shot